Oh yeah, I mean, Milkicow, our red Terran in the top left-hand side from CSO, is very much so on the up, while Bly, I'll just intro for you, Fear
Hmm.
Dragon. I'll steal your intro, but just to make the point, right, like, Bly is very much
Yeah.
so on the way out, and of his own accord, right, because
Hmm.
Bly, Bly made that Leipzig finals in 2016, right, 7 years ago, but he was always, like, he never had a result as big as that again, but he was always competitive, and he would grind every tournament and just play all the time, and he made a good living off of StarCraft, because if you play in every tournament and do okay in all of them, you make a good amount of money, right? So he was
Hmm.
doing well for himself, and when Bly left, like, maybe he was seeing less success, and, some of his builds were not quite as good as they used to be, and, like, maybe the meta evolved away from that being, as good for Bly as it, used to once be. I think Bly still kind of said, he was still doing fine, but he kind of chose, he was like, one time he was like, oh, I'm going on vacation. Then I invited him to an event. He's like, oh, no, I'm not playing again yet. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I invited him to another tournament because Bly was like my go-to Zerg invite. And then
Hmm.
Bly's like, no, I'm still not playing. I'm like, okay, this is bad. I'm down a Zerg. I'm down an auto invite. And I'm like, okay. And he just never played again. And obviously, he's here now. He played in like, I
Hmm.
think he played in Nation Wars maybe. I think he continued to play qualifiers for DreamHack, but he didn't play any smaller events. And I believe that's still pretty much true right now. He's just playing in the ESL Masters. He's not really playing in anything else. He's focusing on other things, and he has taken a big step away from StarCraft, while Milkicow has taken that big step into StarCraft, trying to be a great player, trying to get on the rise, and trying to have his moment and have these seasons where in the past he was the player that
Hmm.
went 0-7, and then he's gone 1-6, and now he's trying to have himself a season again where he doesn't just lose out. He's just trying to get that next step. So yeah, it was a great way to put it. That down opposite ends of their careers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you summed it up really, really well in terms of what's going on with both of them. And I will say that Bly, well, of course, he's not necessarily in as good of form as maybe he was at certain points in the past, like you said, like he's peaked in different points in the past. He has always been that kind of weird, wonky, aggressive Zerg player, going for a pool first opening, absolutely in line with the kind of typical Bly that we end up seeing here. And he's going to be able to put on a little bit of pressure here. And we'll force some repair on the reactor. The reactor, it surely doesn't go down, right? Like,
No.
I'm a little bit hazy on the math on this, but that definitely survives, right?
Yeah, it goes down so slow you get units
Yeah.
out, and I mean these are the slowest possible units as well because it's a
Mm-hmm.
reactor before anything as well. So CC first into reactor. The fact that the CC first is actually very good for Milkicow because these Lings were not able to delay this low ground CC. It was already finished when the Lings arrived. So that's obviously very good
Mm-hmm.
because that's the main point of a pool first. It keeps you safe against the proxy and you can sometimes delay the CC. So in general, this was a very good start for Milkicow and Bly. Starting up that lair, if Bly hasn't changed, I would say we're on our way to 2 base meter because he was one of the few players to still try and make 2 base meter work when he left. And I really haven't
Yep.
casted Bly in a long time, but I would imagine that's probably still what he does because it's just such a Bly thing to do.
Different matchup, but I will say I got to see Bly versus Gung Fu Banda, and yeah, that was kind of the line of thought there for Bly was to go for a lot of that two-base play. So I am kind of expecting Bly to go for something along those lines. We have the extra gas guys and stuff being taken as well. Scan comes down from Milkicow. I think this is a really unusual time for most Terran players to scan. But Milkicow is playing Bly, and actually going for like early information against a player like Bly is a really, really good call. We have a Roach Horn coming on down. In fact, it's not actually going to be the all four of the gas guys are taken super fast, so it is going to actually be for roaches.
Nidus roaches or roach speed? Because I
Surely it's got to be a Nidus, right?
no, I think what's
Mm-hmm.
happened is that Milkicow scanned and saw the natural gases and said,
Mm-hmm.
"Ah, you're probably going mutas." So now Bly's going to build the Roach Horn and go roaches, and maybe some combination of that, but like, because it doesn't
Yeah.
make sense to have had the lair so quickly and not have anything else
Mm-hmm.
done, and he had tons of gas, so he could have absolutely started a spider immediately. So I think this is Bly changing up what he's doing because of the scan timing of Milkicow, and maybe in part
Mm.
because of Milkicow's build, knowing that if he goes mutas, he's going to have this rough timing where Marines show up with Sim and 2 medevacs before the spire's done. So I think
Mm-hmm.
I want to think we weren't necessarily wrong on the line of the mutas, just that Bly's changing his mind based on what he's seeing, because otherwise the build's
Yeah.
just not efficient. Like, you could have had the lair later, everything set up a bit differently. Yeah, just unnecessary to kind of go the way that it's gone, if this was the plan all along.
Yeah. So I think I'm totally with you on that, and I think that is also a very Bly thing to do as well, right? Like that, I think that's why it is very believable if that's the case, because Bly is absolutely the kind of player that just likes to kind of throw his opponent into a little bit of chaos and a little bit of confusion. So Overlord over here is gonna get picked off. That is actually a supply block for Bly, which is quite annoying. His 3 Overlords just now starting up, but it's right as his attack is about to finish up, or start up, I mean. So this is really awkward. There's already a Marine that's on patrol, and Bly, he's gonna throw down the Nice Worm, but is this actually in vision?
I mean, it should be in vision, right? When the Marine moves in at the very least. Obviously, it's a question of how many units do you have to respond to this, because Milkicow is going across the map. Now he's lifting up and coming back home. He picked the worst possible time to start moving to the other side of the map, quite frankly. He's going to pull SCVs, but I actually feel like you shouldn't pull SCVs right now. You want to wait for the medevacs to get back, unload, and then pull the SCVs and fight, and that's kind of what he's doing. Roaches are going to have another Nidus coming up, and obviously with Stim, you should have good firepower against these Roaches. You're giving up the SCV, so your Marine count doesn't get cut too heavily too quickly, and we are going to push this back. Damage taken, yes, but only 10 workers behind in a game where the Zerg is also not on a great eco is very manageable as well.
Oh yeah, I mean my was actually more for Bly than it was for Milkicow, because Milkicow has a 3rd CC during all of this. He manages to defend and effectively shut down all the Nidus Swarms in the end. He killed off most of the Roaches. This is a very all-in build for Bly. Yes, he has a 3rd hatch, but that 3rd hatch is really, more than anything else, just providing extra larva. Tunneling Claws is on the way. Wait, Morty, there's no burrow.
Yeah. I wasn't gonna say just in case like it started up, but like right now there is not burrow. You are correct, as we do have 1 medevac across the map, by the way. Roaches in the main because of the Nidus. Roaches were poking at the front to let the Nidus get up in the main as well, but you can just see Marines and medevacs are actually just good against Roaches when they're not being overwhelmed. Roaches rely on that critical mass idea where once there's a certain amount, they just, you know, can't be stopped, and they just win the fight super convincingly. So when the critical mass ain't there, the Marines just beat the Roaches, and you're just seeing that right now. These Roaches ain't doing anything, even though you kind of feel like it's not a lot from Milkicow, and it isn't. It's just Stim, Combat, and the medevacs overhead is just enough to stop those Roaches, like I say, being overwhelming. And yeah, just, I mean, there's the burrow, by the way, so that's going to come up a little bit out of sync. And yeah, Milkicow with the medevac on the other side at the same time, just keeping Bly's economy controlled a bit. Bly in a major supply block very soon, so he starts 4 new Overlords. And Milkicow probably just terrified of the idea of moving out, because if he moves out, he probably thinks, man, I'm going to get Nidus again. But I really wouldn't mind just like 1 tank in the main. Well, he actually has the Viking that's cleaned out the Overlord / Overseer, so I actually think this is fine. And actually just dropping more across the map while leaving a tank defensively, maybe this is a good way to do it too. I'm a fan of this. I think that's fine.
Yeah. I guess I don't mind entirely just playing out a little bit safely here, just because Bly is absolutely the master of chaos and confusion. So he is absolutely the kind of player that will just try and find that exact timing that you're trying to do a move out or something with your whole army, and suddenly hits you in a weird, awkward angle. That's oftentimes how he wins a lot of his games. But there it is. Nidus Swarm coming on up as the double drop was headed across the map. SCV is being pulled off the line. Viking landing as the double drop arrives on in, and Bly tries to hit in at the natural expansion at the same time. Milkicow is going to heavily prioritize the micro on that front. Nidus Swarm looks like he gets shut down in the main, and the drop also. Milkicow wins on every front.
Yeah, I mean, he was set up to do this for a while. He just had enough stuff in enough places, and Bly's the one that ran out of things, right? He didn't have a way to deal with the Marines and the natural, so 20 drones going down. Milkicow is now ahead by almost 20 workers, so that's obviously pretty darn good. And yeah, this game is just absolutely running into Milkicow's favor here. He just needs to stay steady, keep on building a couple of tanks. There's a Nidus in the main right now, which will cause a bit of chaos, and that's the kind of thing that Bly can still really use to his advantage, and he will do just that as the Roaches run in. But again, there's just not enough going on at the same time from Bly to really scare Milkicow and to really get him truly caught up in this. And the Marines just continue to trade decently as well, with that +1 attack also now finished, something that wasn't in play before.
Yeah, honestly, this drop has also been softening up that Nidus Swarm on the intro end. There is a chance that if Bly is also just gets a little bit too distracted with the micro on the other side of the map, he could actually end up losing his Nidus Swarm and just lose any units that were inside of it. Tunneling Claw Roaches get a little bit of damage done. They do manage to dive in on top of a tank, but the missile turret does reveal them as well. And that drop is still going strong.
This is one of these, a really good example of how you need to play against Bly, which is just always be ready to defend and never give up on the defense, because just when you think he can't possibly be done, or he can't possibly keep on going, he ain't done, right? Like, he's still coming at you. He's got another Nidus somewhere. he's always been very creative with his unit movement and his attack, you know, directions. And this is exactly one of those scenarios where he's just trying to hit you on so many fronts and trying to make you keep on guessing as to where the next attack's going to come from, that at some point he's going to hope that you make the mistake of guessing incorrectly and you're not ready somewhere and you take advantage. And he is still killing SCVs, and as a Terran this can be frustrating because you feel like you're ahead, you feel like you should be able to go, but you've just got to remember Bly is extremely all in, and it's okay if you don't take your third. It's okay if you sit back and keep defending, because for the foreseeable future, you are 100% ahead as long as you just don't run into a fight. That is kind of silly, quite frankly.
Yeah, I actually think one of the underrated things, it's like out of the context of this individual game, that I think Bly does a really good job of, is he stays in games for a really long time. Sometimes it'll almost look comical as the observers and stuff, where he'll be down like 70 supply and still kind of trying to make things out. I think it adds to some of the confusion and the feeling of like, oh my god, what's going on? Burrow play to unburrow on top of the road, or on top of these tanks, and all the Marines have to pick on up, and now suddenly it does look like Bly is actually making a little bit of progress over here.
Yeah, I think this was a result of Milkicow maybe being a bit too far forward without stepping the turrets, right? Because the turrets could have been further forward, and, you know, he just needed a little bit of a scan a little bit sooner. He kind of stimmed as the Ravagers came in, then all the roaches pop up, and now Bly is actually ahead on workers, still only on 2 bases. Again, just Milkicow maybe trying to do a little bit too much, a little too quickly, and I get it, it's frustrating, but Bly's only on 2 bases as well. Another Nidus in the main base, and again, Bly just keeps on trying to wear you down until you're absolutely sick of playing against him, but that's how he picks up these wins. This tank is going to get bowed down almost immediately, so will the other one. The Medivacs, you need to be careful. Both tanks drop very quickly. Mules and SCVs, whatever you can bring to this fight. I think Milkicow might actually be a little bit overwhelmed right now, as he's going to start losing his natural expansion.
I love the Nidus Worm play, by the way, from Bly, because it drew a bunch of units over to the main base and forced him to split up his army. There were only 2 roaches in the Nidus Worm. There was no actual intention to unload many units there. He was just looking to distract Milkicow and force him to react, because Milkicow doesn't know what's coming out of there. Now, a lot of roaches have gone down, but we are down to 14 SCVs right now, Wardy. And, I mean, these roaches and Ravagers are still trying to find little trades here and there.
14 SCVs, but triple command center, and the fact that now this army of Bly just got reset. So suddenly his army's nowhere near scary, and especially his Ravager count. And he is only on the 2 bases, and we're getting to that sort of point where those bases are beginning to mine out as well. So I think this was not a great moment for Bly to have a major trade out, which doesn't go well for him. Marauders, by the way, beautiful micro pulling those 2 Marauders back, because actually every unit counts for a lot right now. And that's definitely one of those moments. I don't even mind if this Nidus comes up, because if he pops anything out, it's going to die, because Milkicow's on the way back. So this ain't really too much of an issue. And Milkicow's going to clean that up as well. And, okay, he needs to land a base somewhere, sure. But he does have an army that can contest with Bly right now. And I do not hate the Doom Drop either. Just go across the map and maybe base trade at this point. Bly doesn't have enough, and he doesn't have money to build with either.
I feel like one of Bly's biggest advantages here is that because he's killed so many workers, and Milkicow isn't even remaking them, he's reliant on mules. So he actually doesn't have very many scans right now. If he can find ways to abuse the burrowed roach even more, obviously Bly still has to deal with the Doom Drop, and I don't have a solution. I don't have a solution for everything here, Wardy. But I think that is the one thing he can at least take advantage of, is burrowed roaches.
We've killed the Nidus, so Niduses are done in this game. Full on base trade mode now, as we're going to go after the Roachron, and again, I don't think Bly currently has enough stuff, and any roaches that spawn on this side of the map are going to die, right? Like they need to be all joined up together to take this fight realistically, and I think Milkicow's playing this out correctly as he finishes up on the natural, he finishes up that Roachron, and just keep your units together, and obviously in a base trade scenario, you cannot lose the game because you can fly your structures. So you're guaranteed a draw at this point, I'm pretty sure. I mean, Bly's got a hatch low ground, but I don't think he keeps that alive. I just don't like that Milkicow is necessarily splitting up. I feel like splitting up is the last thing you ever need to do here. And don't take too many bile damage, too much bile damage either.
Yeah, that is very important not to take too much of the bile damage. Kind of funny thing here is that, is there actually any detection? Like, all of the command centers are lifted, right? You can't actually scan. You could just keep these roaches and Ravagers alive for a bit.
Draw guaranteed if he kills this hatchery, by the way. There is not enough money to build a hatchery, so that's a big deal. In fact, we're just going to chase down these units because clearly Milkicow knows the value of killing those units, but still a bit scary. 42 to 36 army supply. And remember, I actually think the best thing right now for Milkicow is to wait a bit, because his Medivacs are all out of energy, but if he waits, he obviously gets that energy back That's a big deal. And Bly, again, does not have the money to rebuild a hatch. Obviously, Milkicow doesn't know that. Actually, the Banshee's a stellar play because there's nothing that shoots up in the game. There's one queen.
Oh.
And it can't transfuse itself, Fear Dragon.
No, it cannot. And that is a massive problem. This is a massive problem. Okay, you can make a Spore Crawler, right? I guess?
Yeah, if you want to camp out in a
theory,
certain
like, he
position.
still has to deal with the army. That's still a problem, but...
He only has a Nidus network, a spawning pool, and 3 extractors left. And Milkicow's on his way to start killing some of those. Obviously, the Ravagers can bow down bases. We're going to drop an orbital elsewhere. And the Banshee's just going to come over and start working its way through structures. I think the Banshee really is a bit of a checkmate move. He's going to go after the Nidus. We start up the spores, sure, but... Yeah, I mean, I guess you just work your way through those spores and just waste the money of Bly. You're going to be able to kill off at least one of them here. We're going to Corrosive Bile on the Banshee. Again, Bile units across the map are killing the last structures over on this side as well. And Milkicow could make a call where he decides just to dive on the structures as well. Careful again. Don't take too much. And actually, I don't mind the idea of just kind of hitting the units for a little bit, because every unit you get rid of is one more unit that you don't have to deal with in the larger fight.
When the Night Storm goes down, the creep is going to disappear. So then the Spore Crawler can't actually stay burrowed safely anymore. That's a problem for... That's a big problem for Bly.
The one queen in the game burrowed on the other side of the map, by the way, as Bly has a Spore and an Extractor left. The Extractor's obviously dying currently to the Banshee, and the Bio Army's going to go for the Spore. This is game if there's no other building coming up, and there is not. The Banshee's about to win it. No, there's a new Extractor, Fear Dragon. There's a new Extractor next to Milkicow's base. It's not ideal. And Bly only has one more drone, so he's kind of out of options, man.
Yeah. Honestly, a valiant effort in a game that we've been looking at where it did seem like Milkicow was honestly leading for so much of this game and should have had this game in a lot of ways wrapped up. But, man, Bly has really been putting the fight to Milkicow. Like, wow, just unbelievable. There's no way Milkicow is feeling really happy and jovial after that. After that, you're kind of like, oh my God, I can't believe that game almost slipped through my fingertips because I almost got blind.
I love it, because to me, this is such a throwback. The amount of times I've seen Terran players in a winning position, they've held Bly's Roach Nidus nonsense, and then he does the Bly thing, and he kind of makes it weird, and it doesn't always go the way of the Terran, and that's why I was kind of really worried for Milkicow, because I thought Bly had done it. Milkicow kept his kind of cool and kind of figured out a way to win in the end, but man, you come out of that game and you are shaking your head. You're like, why is it so difficult to kill Bly? Like, it is so tough to get rid of this guy who was dead at minute 5, and we just watched 15 minutes or something of running around silly, and it came down to 2 Banshees that were uncounterable, obviously, but like, it was so close up until that point, man.
Yeah, I really think you have to really highlight these games when they happen, because a lot of people watch Bly's games and they see him again down like 70 supply or like in a really terrible position. He's just not leaving the game.
Yeah.
And he's like, why aren't you leaving, man? Like, you're just wasting everyone's time. Like, you have to call out and highlight these games where he was just straight up dead by all reasonable sanity. Like, any sane person would probably say that. But Bly is not a sane man, and he's not playing a sane fashion. And that is why he is able to pull back games like this. This is the reason why he sticks around in these games, because he is the embodiment of, if there's like a 3% chance I can make the comeback happen, I'll try, because what have I got to lose?
Man, I was just watching it back as well, and obviously the Bly was probably dead anyways, but I was just like, the moment where the 2 structures went down and he just got the Extractor down as the Banshee shot was flying to the Extractor already. I was like, oh my God, like, talk about a clutch save. Top left, our Red Terran, probably not too impressed with how that game had to go. It is Milkicow.
And down here in the bottom right-hand side of the map, the creator of the madness of that last game, he is the Blue Zerg player Bly. That's honestly such a big strength, is being able to make your opponent feel bad even after winning. Like, when you can make your opponent say, God, I can't believe that game almost slipped through my fingertips. Like, what was going on that game? I won, but like, it doesn't feel like that same kind of stability that you oftentimes feel after winning the first game in a series and stuff. I think that's one of the biggest strengths of Bly, is even when losing, he can make you feel off your game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He is one of those players that is just so freaking good at just like I say, making you feel completely uncomfortable, right? So yeah, he's it's just that power of Bly, honestly. And I do love Milkicow, by the way. CC first again. I do not think it's a bad idea against Bly. As long as you know how you're gonna hold like a super fast roach rush with this, I think it's pretty much always a good idea. And this time Bly doesn't pull first, but I that's why I kind of like it for Milkicow, because Bly does pull first a lot. So love that kind of opening style from him again. Just wondering what kind of crazies we might see on Neo Humanity for round 2, man.
Yeah, this is definitely a map that lends itself toward wonky play sometimes, especially for Zerg players and stuff. But just for anyone that was wondering, like, why would a CC first be good against the pool first? The reason why is because you finish at the command center so fast, and you still manage to get up your barracks and your defenses and stuff to deal with like the early lings to breaking your main base, that your CC finishes on the low ground, you just get to lift it up. As opposed to going for a barracks then CC, what ends up happening is your barracks finishes, you get out like a unit, but not enough to deal with the early lings. And then your command center is just stuck, not finished on the low ground. It gets slowed down or potentially even canceled. So it causes all sorts of headaches. As we say all that, Wordy, the other thing that you mentioned was making sure you can handle a roach attack. And, well, gosh darn it, Wordy, there is a roach horn almost done now.
There is. I think Milkicow's got to be super aware that this is a possibility. He has scouted that it was a hatchery first, so he knows that much. He's not going to scout a game, which in my eyes generally probably means we get a bunker here, but let's see. Obviously, there's the one Marine right now. Reactor finishing soon. Ideally, you just build, obviously, Marines and go into a Cyclone. I would love that. It might not be what Milkicow is most comfortable with.
Dangerous.
Yeah,
a little dangerous.
Very dangerous as the SCVs deal with the Lings, but, I mean, Hellions in general are just not going to be good here, and you're now wasting time building with these SCVs running around, and yeah, this is really bad. This is kind of worst case scenario, and honestly, a little bit sad that Milkicow is going to play like this against Bly. He does go high ground bunker, sure, but you're going to put like a Marine in it, right? Like, I know it sounds silly, but even if it's not your comfort zone to play like an 8 Marine Cyclone opening or like an 8 Marine drop or something like that, I feel like against Bly is such a good solid way to open because you can put on some good pressure. You're super safe against the majority of builds he brings out. And I feel like with the way he just went straight to Reactor, he's not scouting. I feel like that's the kind of thing you should just be doing if you're playing blind here. Yeah, it's silly.
Yep. There's the discovery of the roaches as they're already at his front door. The Hellions don't even get to buy that much time. So a handful of SCVs are even going to be dying on the retreat over here. At least one of them. The rest of them do just get softened up, which, hey, I mean, if they don't actually have a chance to repair each other, and that is also going to mean that they are going to be a little bit softened up if the roaches and ravagers decide to try and target fire them down when they try and repair the bunker. But Widowmine pops on out, immediately target fire down. This is already a pretty great start for Bly so far.
Yeah, the bunker is only got 2 Marines in it. It's not actually completely full. Files straight onto the Widowmine. Love that. That's an instant kill as well. There's just not units here. Obviously, Banshee will eventually clean up, but this is a lot of damage. Bly droning heavily behind it, so every SCV you lose is a major disadvantage you have at the moment as Milkicow, and he's going to lose 2 more to Biles, trying to repair up the bunker. He's going to have to pull more SCVs forward, and at this point, obviously, yes, there's a Banshee, but you just want to kill as many SCVs as you can as Bly. Every SCV you kill makes this game that much easier. And yeah, I think it's fair to say I'm just disappointed in Milkicow. Well, you know it's Bly, right? Like, you've got to be prepared to deal with something like this, and this just felt like, you know, if you're playing against, like, say you do this build and you're playing against, like, Serral, right? Or, like, a Raynor, and they do this to you, I'm like, okay, fair enough. Like, who would have, you know, yeah, they're aggro sometimes, but who would have guessed it? It's Bly. It's not a guessing game, you know? Like, please, Bly-proof your build orders, you know?
Yeah. I'm with you. It's like, it's similar to playing against like Haas, or if you're like playing Printf, it's like if you're playing Printf, just expect the cannon rush. Like if you're playing versus Haas, just be ready for the all-in, because you know Bly is very good at what he does, but he also doesn't really do like the standard style nearly as well. So a Nidusworm follow-up over here is going to be interesting. That in theory the Banshee should be able to scout this out and also kind of be annoying over here, because I mean there's only actually 3 queens out. There should be a 4th queen on the way and should be popping out soon, but can the Banshee actually get back to that angle? Oh, he may just never go in from that angle to the natural.
Yeah, he's just not going to see it. Game's over, man. Like 30 drones to 6 SCVs, and then obviously Bly's just going to spam roaches through a Nidus network. It's He doesn't even need the Nidus. He can just A-click
Yeah.
across the map with roaches, right? Let them do what they want, have a
That's
party.
true.
He doesn't even try and Nidus the main base. Like, that's how okay he feels about this. Okay, he didn't have an Overlord in position, but the Overseer wouldn't have been too far to go. Just roaches at the front gonna seal the deal here.
I think you're right, though. I actually think this is even the better way to do it, because if you Nidus at the front, get the roaches over there, you pull the entire main army to the front lines, and then you Nidus the second time in the main base, while your opponent had to pull all their units to deal with your actual roaches in the front. So they don't actually have the units to kill the Nidus for him anymore. Because, you know, they just need everything at the front to not die. It's either that, or you just die at the front, because you're killing the Nidus for him, like right now.
Nidus will die. I mean, that's nice. Your CC's about to get killed by queens, so you don't see that every day of the week, but it is burning, it's being chased. We are going to get creep off of the Nidus to speed up the advance of the queens, and that is not a mule that will work out. And, yeah.
See, I think it's little things like that. Like, Bly is so far ahead right now, but it's just the fact that, like, you see the mule coming down on a CC that had, like, single-digit hit points burning down. And you know, like, in any normal game, Milkicow would easily be able to look at that command center and be like, yeah, there's no way I'm saving that. Or he'd be like pulling it back to an angle where the mule actually would have maybe been able to start repairing earlier. But just goes to show you, people just get tilted by Bly. Like, people don't get to play their A game against Bly, because Bly sometimes just Blys you.
He Blys you. GG's. Yeah, man. I mean, cool. I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, you know what he's gonna do. I mean, this is the thing. This is what Bly made a career doing the expected kind of aggressive Bly things, and people not responding, not dealing with it, and it keeps on working. And I get it. Like, you gotta respect a lot of other things, but I really feel like, you know, you're Milkicow, you're playing StarCraft every day. Bly is really only playing for these events. I think you've got to be okay just going into a game and saying, hey, look, I think my way to lose is him roaching me and me having no clue, versus my way to win is just, okay, I maybe don't do a build I'm as comfortable with, or maybe I do a build which puts me a bit behind against a normal opener. But if Bly does a normal opener, you know, I'm the player that's got more experience as of late. I'm the player that's more comfortable in those longer games. You own that a little bit, right? Take advantage of that, you know, make the most of it. So, yeah, I like I say, disappointment's maybe a strong word, but I just feel like it is a very Bly thing to have happen to you, and it's just crazy that we're still in 2023 and that Bly can make this happen to people still, right? Like, that's what baffles me.
Yeah.
Because it's not just Milkicow. Everyone that's played against Bly has done this, where they've just died to a Bly build, and they're like, yeah, I guess I just didn't play against the fact it was Bly, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's also unfortunate because it made me curious, like, how often does Milkicow played against Bly? It's actually played quite a few times. Like, they've played a total of, I'm trying to do the math on this, I think like 67 different games against each other. Milkicow has won the last 4 times that he played against Bly. Like, they've played over 25 or so series, like 26 series against each other, and this is the 27th one. So it's not like Milkicow doesn't know what to expect. It's not like he isn't familiar with Bly or the way that he plays and everything. So it is just a bit unfortunate, yeah, that Milkicow is not quite bringing the best game plan to deal with Bly himself. And Wardy, all I'm gonna say is I do think that Bly is a player that gets stronger the longer. It's similar to Haas. The longer the series goes on and the more chaotic the games are, the stronger he gets. And getting into a game 3 when game number 1, even if you end up winning, it's a very messy game, and game number 2 is like a very frustrating kind of way that you end up losing. That is, I feel like that's never a good place to be going to game 3 against Bly in.
Yeah, I'm completely with you, man. It's I mean, I would hate to play against Bly, right? I would
yeah,
not be too happy about it, because he's just a frustrating player to play against. I would hate myself every time I lost, because I'd be like, man, I knew it. I shouldn't be losing to this. Why is it happening? I know some people feel like that, right? And yeah, it's just the Bly thing is we are only filling so much time because our game 3 has not been hosted, and if our referee just forgot who won game 1 and thought it was a 2-0, but
they're still just processing.
they're just looking at it like, what happened?
Yeah, it's like, you know what? Sometimes the players need like a minute between the games to just kind of process what's going on and be like, all right, I just need to like recuperate myself. The referee needs a minute to actually recuperate themselves
like,
from
yo,
the series
I
right
need
now.
a moment to do my admin, bro. Like,
Yeah.
the game wasn't
That
long
series
enough.
threw me off from my adminning. Yeah.
Yeah, so we figuring out what's gonna happen. Milkicow calls for a tie. I don't know how that works in Swiss.
Draw? Offer a draw?
Both players survive to the next game. Yeah, that's
Dude,
a new one.
that'd be so sick. Imagine, I've always wondered what would happen. Like, is there a breaking point for how many ties in a row you could have before like the broadcast just goes too long and the admin's finally just like, do we have to play this on a different day? Do we come up with some other solution? Like, what happens if they just draw like 5 games in a row?
Yeah, I mean, I've never had to be in that situation, but like, I guess we just keep on playing and we never go to the next match.
Never go to the next. The DreamHack, the ESL Masters just continues on. It was originally for 3 weeks, but now we're going on to a 5th week. Well, thankfully, StarCraft does have one solution built into it. Actually, no, this doesn't help. Actually, I don't know. Maybe it does in a Swiss format. For those who don't know, if you exceed, I think it's like 5 hours and like 24 minutes or something, some weird number like that, it gives both players a loss. Like, it doesn't draw. It doesn't say like both players won. Both players lose the game.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
I was actually thinking about this, and I was thinking about specifically the time it kicks you out at, and I wonder if the time it kicks you out at, because it's random. I wonder if the time it kicks you out at is based on the old time, right?
It is.
So it's 10
based
hours?
on, I think, 6 or 7 hours or something, or like 6.5 hours,
the old time?
something like that.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
I think so. I think it's based on the old time, something like that.
Because if it's like 5.5 or 6 hours, then maybe it's like 10 hours of old time, but maybe not. I was just thinking
10
like what?
hours?
Well,
Ooh.
I was just thinking what makes the difference? What makes it decide like, oh, that's enough? I mean, how old was Blizzard?
That's a good question.
I'm
Yeah,
not even sure.
I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember what the conversion ratio is. And for those who don't know, like, I guess this is now such old StarCraft lore that there's a lot of people who got into StarCraft after we switched. StarCraft in-game time used to go faster than actual normal time. Like a second or 5 seconds or 10 seconds in StarCraft used to be faster than 5 seconds in the real world. And the reason why is because if you've ever noticed, the default way that we play StarCraft is we play it on the faster or fastest setting instead of normal. So in StarCraft, if you actually do the little drop down and say, I'm going to play on normal speed, everything is moving way, way slower. And that's what the actual in-game timer used to be based on. And they did change it eventually.
Which is kind of baffling, right? That we had to for such a long time. We just like accept. It's like you make StarCraft 2 and you're just like, let's keep on using this method, right? Like, even though we're never gonna play a game like that.
So the reason why the lore on this is, and by the way, are you the one making the lobby now, or?
No. So I've got another referee on the way.
Okay.
I don't know what happened to referee C, but we're gonna improve to referee A, I think.
Amazing. Well, I'll let I'll buy a little bit more time and explain the lore behind this. So the reason why this existed and why we're like, there's the normal and fastest speed where everyone just plays on the fastest speed, right? So like, why would you ever not just have the normal game timer based on that? In Brood War and in StarCraft 1, the developers actually thought people would just play on normal. It became like a trend where people just tended to want to play on faster or fastest. But like, it wasn't even the default setting when you would make a lobby initially. You'd normally actually be set to normal mode. And so that was the case in StarCraft 1, even to the point where the ladder itself, before all StarCraft Remastered and everything came out, the ladder in StarCraft 1 actually played on normal, or it was either normal or just fast speed, not fastest. This is the reason why a lot of people would play StarCraft 1 ladder on like third-party websites and things like that, because people didn't want to play the ladder games on normal speed.
They did not.
Anyways,
you keep talking, Phaedra, and I'm now lobby host. So
okay.
I've taken over.
Yeah, so anyways.
I'm the referee now.
Okay. The godlike referee. Well, as this game gets loaded on up and get all the players and stuff in their spots, but that is the kind of reason why we went from there. And then StarCraft 2, they just kind of carried over a bit of that philosophy, but they changed it so that it was like, okay, well, people just clearly want to play in fastest, but the whole way things were originally just set up in StarCraft 1, they just carried over that overall logic of like normal fastest speeds and everything. So that's the reason why the old in-game timers used to move faster. And that's why we were talking about like the in-game timer may say like 5.5 or something hours when it just times out and automatically gives both players a loss. But it probably is like closer to 8 something hours or 9 hours or 10 hours or something along those lines. I don't remember the conversion ratio is though. I'll look that up while Wordy figures out what's going on. Oh no, the game is all right. The game is starting.
I've just taken
Perfect.
control. Turns out one of our referees gone. The other referee can't log in. Battle.net is making us refereeless, so I'm the boss of this now. I'm referee. I've got the players of the right colors. I think Milkicow's been red. So you know,
it's almost like you've actually run a bunch of tournaments yourself and admin them.
I do feel like I'm very capable of hosting the lobby, so you know, I don't want to brag too much before everything goes wrong, right? I mean, if everything's about to fall apart here, then that ain't gonna be too great. So, in the top right-hand side, our blue Zerg player, this is Bly.
Down here in the bottom left-hand side of the map, we have the red Terran player. It is Milkicow from Team CSO.
The referee's like, I have a surefire way to make sure we hit the timing for Americas perfectly. We will just wait to host game
for that.
Are
we actually on track for that?
No. Americas
we're still an
starts in
hour out from
52
Americas.
minutes. Yeah, well, officially, I mean, in theory, right? We are on schedule because this match was meant to start 40 minutes ago, which it did. And
yeah,
they give 45 minutes for a best of 3. It's just, there's also meant to be like 30 minutes between regions and a 15-minute pre-show. But we don't do a 15-minute pre-show. And the 30 minutes between regions is more like buffer time in case matches go long, so yeah.
And Bly will try and ensure that we are truly getting a little bit of that.
He's going to make up for lost time here, guys. Proxy hatch going down. Away we go.
Yes, indeed. And here's my question, Wordy. I don't think I've seen Milkicow go for any form of real scouting in early on. Like, he hasn't gone for any SCV scouts. He hasn't really been...
Last game.
Oh, he did SCV scout?
He SCV scouted last game, the hatch first. He knew it was hatchery first for sure.
Okay. All right. Then I do feel a bit better about it. SCV is going to be moving forward. Granted, I think this SCV gets the information way too late for it to do a whole lot of anything about it, but I was going to actually ask if he was going to scout around for proxy hatches and stuff. And I do like that you could see he darted around a little bit just to check kind of like corners of areas for a potential proxy. But unfortunately, he's not going to be catching the real proxy location.
Yep, down that ramp is quite a cute one. It's very rare a Terran's going to check over there. But now you see no hatchery and you know what's happening because this is too late to just be kind of like some kind of like, oh, like pull into hatch. He's going to go into the main and just check, and he will see the roach roaring, obviously. So he gets full confirmation of what's coming his way. And it is already a bunker coming up. He is going to bunker high ground. There's no reason to defend low ground here. You can put the CC into the high ground, so no reason to do that. A couple lings are going to run up, but they can gain access. But I feel like we just stand here and fight and kill these off and just keep on making Modern Marine at a time. Don't need to lift the barracks up just yet. But we do want to wall at some point because you don't want to let the roaches walk straight in.
Yeah. More than anything else, these two lings are here not only just to confirm what Milkicow is up to, but also it's a little bit of a distraction, right? It's potentially saying, all right, you're going to be busy microing these Marines to take care of my lings, so maybe you're a little bit slow on building like an extra depot. Maybe you're a little bit slow on building extra bunker or something, getting your Marines into the bunker. Roaches have an opportunity to run on past, and actually, yeah, they're going to do exactly that. They're just going to say, well, what if I just don't fight your bunker? You have to pull workers. And now these roaches get to potentially get a couple of pickoffs here. Armor on those roaches as they turn into Ravagers is going to help out a little bit versus these Marines, but one of the Ravagers is going to definitely end up dying here. Yeah,
the other team will finish up, though. Then these Marines are not next to the bunker anymore. I know we've still got ourselves a surround, but we corrosive bile our way out of the surround. Okay, we also corrosive bile ourselves. Not the prettiest of moments, but it was definitely something. One roach still trying to come up this ramp. Another Ravager morphing in. Obviously, Bly's on a timer to get as much damage done as quickly as possible at the moment. He's doing, or trying to do, Exactly that. As
Oh.
this Ravager does break 3, we still have 2 of them moving around. I'd love to see these Ravagers get to the front and bile down the freaking reactor so that the Roaches can continue to move in. I feel like that's, I understand it's not easy to move where you want to with SCVs chasing you and everything, but I feel like that might have been quite a play. One more bile does not connect, and, you know, just a couple of Roaches low ground. Now going to be chased away by a Cyclone. By making 4 more Roaches, though, I mean, he's got the numbers continuing through, and he's going to keep on picking away at that depot, and actually get a few shots on the Cyclone there as well. 3 kills or 3 damage is always nice. Gets a Marine too.
Yeah, I think this is actually still not going the worst for Bly, just because there's no Marines in the bunker. The bunker is literally not doing anything right now. Eventually, there will be another Marine popping on out. The Overlord manages to survive, and also high ground vision being kept over here. Another couple of these Ravagers also being made ensures that Bly should be able to at least get a couple of corrosive biles down to force out some SCVs to repair, and then he can try and target fire down more SCVs. Remember, Bly is still actually behind in workers, even despite all this. And now with the siege tank out, this is supposed to be the big turning point where it becomes extremely difficult for Bly to do anything.
Yes, because now you don't have high ground vision either, plus the siege tank being there. Now it is, like you say, very difficult. There's a couple more Overlords showing up, but you have a few drones on the way. We'll see what Bly decides to want to do. If he gets a couple more Ravagers, he can bow down the bunker initially, and then maybe have a chance just to dive up and get into the tank. Because notice that there's not another tank building. I think that is a terrifying prospect, that there is only this one tank. And right now, we're just going to take what we can get, which is apparently still some shots off on this depot. Like I said, I really wouldn't mind more Ravagers and just hitting the bunker down.
There's a supply block incoming, right? As soon as he loses that supply depot, he's going to get
He's already supply block.
He's already supply block. And the depot's just starting now. That depot doesn't unsupply block him. Yeah, he needs 2.
More Ravagers, you bow down the bunker. Or maybe right now you could just run up and bow down the tank as well, because there's already an opening. Ooh, this is terrifying for Milkicow. I think I'd like him to bow down the bunker.
I actually think this is Bly's best chance of doing anything. He doesn't necessarily know that how supply block Milkicow was, but there's literally just going to be all the rounds of production a lot more delayed right now.
It's going to get a second tank out. That makes it much more difficult to justify going in here.
Yeah.
So, obviously, Bly doesn't necessarily know. He might have already thought there was a second tank. It took such a long time to start building the second one. Bunker will go down. He's still taking a tank shot there, and I mean, at some point, you've still got to go, right? I think he just wanted to take the bunker so he could open up, and he is going to get in. Bows onto the first tank. He's going to knock that down. Second tank is safe for the moment. We have another tank building off the factory still. That was a good amount lost from Bly there, and that might just be enough for Milkicow to start taking this. The Marine count's getting that little bit higher too, so trying to keep that established throughout the course of this crazy situation.
Yeah, also enough of the Ravagers, I think, went down in that last little skirmish that even though Bly has enough to still one-shot the tanks, it makes it really difficult, because if he loses almost any more of these Ravagers, he's suddenly just not going to have enough to deal with the second tank anymore, and that is going to be a big problem. So I would normally say, like, okay, this is where you maybe start thinking about transitioning, or like, sorry, a minute or two ago, maybe you just need to have some more drones and stuff being added on, but he's just still adding on more Lings and Roaches. I don't know, I'm almost wondering if it would make sense to like go for like a drop Overlord and like slow drop them onto the high ground to absorb tank fire or something like that. I don't even know, man. How do you make this work?
I think you rewind and you just go sooner. Like, he really had a timing.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, is
Draw,
now
question mark?
Yeah, I mean, these Marines kind of ran back a bit there, and maybe they could have stood and fought as we get rid of a lot of the Ravagers. The Milkicow's going to type G